today, none other than the middleweight champ, Ross Levine. What up, dude?
What up? What up? Just getting this work in.
So we're a week out from the fight. How's everyone doing? Ross, we'll start with you.
Beautiful, man. Everything's great. I'm actually in New York City right now. I have a student who's fighting on a big show, kickboxing show down here tomorrow. So we just drove down earlier today. We had the weigh-ins. My boy's doing great. I'm really excited for this fight for him. So I'm gonna do some coaching, and then as soon as the fight's over, me and Coach Andrew Cornell are driving right back up to Rhode Island, and then we get Saturday to get our stuff together. Sunday we're out. We'll be in Texas and ready to go smash somebody up there too.
Show goes on. How you doing, Mac Tyson?
I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
No problem. I'm doing good. Very excited to see this main event. It's always a great time seeing Ross fight, and he has a very dangerous opponent in Adrian Hadribia. Arguably, date.
You cut out there for a quick second. You said arguably what?
The toughest opponent to date for Ross.
Okay, well here, I'll have you start this off by asking Ross. Well, explain to us why you think Adrian's one of his hardest opponents, and then Ross, how you intend to deal with that. So Mac Tyson, let's start that out.
Well, like a lot of Ross's prior opponents, Adrian comes from a WKF karate background, but unlike those opponents, he has an extensive MMA background, a regional MMA champion in 3 different regional organizations. I think he actually might even have more pro fights than Ross. We can double check the records.
He does. That's correct.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Damn.
Okay, yeah, he has more full contact experience than Ross, which is a change up for him in karate combat. So it's going to be very interesting because it's kind of like Ross is finding the final boss of these WKF guys after fighting a bunch of them.
Well, I think, I certainly think he's a dangerous opponent. Every opponent's a dangerous opponent. There are certain things that we can check off the list that we don't think he has. We certainly know what he's very, very good at, but we also know what he lacks, So although, yes, he does have more pro fights than me, he also has the lowest knockout percentage out of anybody I fought as a pro fighter. So that's something that we can certainly check on the box of, all right, we're going to have a big advantage there. We also know that he's fought most of his career in that extensive MMA career of his at, 170, 155 pounds, catch weights anywhere in between. He really hasn't fought a ton at 185 pounds. He looked good when we saw him on short notice. So I do think he's going to be a very, very good and tough opponent. But yeah, it's going to be good. Would I consider him the final boss? I don't know about that. But I'm definitely looking forward to the challenge, and we were excited when the name crossed our desk.
What do you think his most dangerous attribute is?
As you
Go ahead,
saw,
Mac.
and you even commented on.
Go ahead, Mac.
Well, I'll let Ross follow up on that because this is a different issue.
Okay. Yeah, what's his most dangerous attribute that you're looking at, Ross?
Well, he's certainly tough. I mean, that's without a doubt. You've seen it throughout his career. He's got a decent chin. He hasn't been finished very much. He's a tough dude. He keeps coming. He knows how to pull you in. He's very good at distance management. He's a good counter fighter, very good counter fighter. He understands how to create angles and manage his space very well, and then blitz and kind of stymie you from getting going. So yeah, he does do a very good job of pulling you into his game, and he can frustrate people. You saw, I think Sasha thought he was just going to walk him down and beat him up and get him out of there. And it was very obvious from the first round that wasn't going to happen. So, Adrian does his homework. I'm sure he's done plenty of study and tried to figure things out for me, and we've done the same for him. So yeah, I think it's going to be a stylistic matchup.
Cool. I know Mac Tyson's on a little bit of a lag, but you got something to say for that, Mac?
Well, yeah, it's a very interesting matchup. I wonder if it's going to turn into a little bit more of a chess match just because of how strong the fight IQ is for both of these fighters and how much study they're doing to each other. But although with karate combat, the highest judging criteria is still effective aggression. So it's why I always argue that karate combat's the best rule set for two blitz fighters to fight under, because even if it's a chess match, you have to play it at the pace of a checkers match.
For sure. You still got to go forward. You still got to press the action. You still got to hit each other. The other thing that I'm really excited about is the new rule set. You have not been able to see me fight with an extended clinch or with low kicks. So, you kick half. So that opens up a lot of things where it's going to make it very dangerous for someone like him, like that's a blitz fighter. If you think about my fight back with Shaheen Adamov, who you could argue has a very similar style to Adrian, only Shaheen had a much bigger knockout ratio. Right? Shaheen was knocking people out at 185 pounds. But they have a similar style. He's going to move, try and draw me in and blitz and throw a big flurry. But in that Adamov fight, I wasn't able to knees. I wasn't able to knee at all, let alone clinch and keep him there to even negate the grappling. So he had more of an advantage there because he could freely grab me without paying for it. Adrian's going to have to pay for it. Every time he closes that gap, there's going to be plenty of knees waiting for him. And then the low kick on the exit. So there's just a whole new spectrum of things that I can do that if you were to say, okay, give Ross that fight with Adamov again, give him this rule set with knees and low kicks, I finish him. 10 out of 10 times.
So for people listening that don't understand why you haven't thrown those, like, is it something you've always trained, or is it something you recently started training with the addition of it? Or is it throwing in something you've always had in your arsenal?
Oh, I mean, it's always been in my arsenal ever since I was a full contact fighter. I started off with K1 kickboxing, Dutch style, pressure, heavy pressure, low kicks, kind of be durable, beat you up, and then knock you out. That was always my style. You kind of even see that in the pit now, but now I'm starting to have these new weapons being added back in. I haven't been able to low kick someone, to kick someone in the thigh since 2019. So
and I felt you kick legs. It's not fun.
Oh, I still do it. I just don't get it in competition. So
yeah.
We're gonna put that, in my brain. I'm gonna be envisioning that power cube on a leg. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Do you think it will be easier to land calf kicks now, also with the addition of the thigh kick, just because you can mix it up more?
That's a good question. No, I actually think it makes it a little bit more challenging because, with the thigh kick, if Adrian is going to be checking, every time I motion to throw a low kick, he's going to be lifting his leg, which kind of eliminates the calf. But in general, even if low kicks were not involved, Adrian does play both stances quite a bit. So, it'll be a game of where we can position ourselves to land those kicks that's going to make it successful or not.
So I got a deeper question real quick. So obviously, your last fight, you went up to challenge for the title with Sam Alvey. We haven't seen you back since then. What have you been doing in the meantime, and how much does it mean? How important is, because you are highly regarded as, one of the most dangerous strikers, if not the most dangerous striker we have in karate combat. How important is it for you to come back to middleweight, defend your title that you still have, obviously, and put a stamp on it and remind people like who you are? Like, how do you approach that? What do you think of it mentally, or is it just another day in the shop?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate that sentiment that I'm one of the most dangerous strikers in karate combat. I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, and for you to be working with as many people as you work with, for you to say that means a lot. So thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I mean it. Yeah.
I don't think I lost any stock whatsoever fighting Sam. If anything, my stock went up. I proved that I fought someone who was on fight night easily 35 pounds heavier than me, maybe more, who was in reality 50 pounds heavier than my fighting weight class. And I went 6 rounds with someone who's got, like a 70% knockout ratio and over 80 professional fights. I'd say I did pretty damn good. And I outstruck him. It was very clear that I was the striker and he was the grappler and he was more imposing. So I don't think I lost any stock whatsoever. It didn't move the needle backwards at all for my career. If anything, it shows people that they should be deathly afraid of me at 185. Because if I can handle that, I can certainly handle anything at 85. But in terms of like how I feel and how I've been approaching this fight, it is another day in the office. But I mean, listen, man, every fight is an important fight. This is my career and my legacy. And, you know, I want to make sure that I go out there and put on a damn good performance every single time. I always come to finish people. So, you know, there is no crutch of like, oh, I did it 205. This is going to be easy. Like, no, it's going to be a very challenging fight. It's a world title fight for a reason. And I'm really looking forward to it, taking it incredibly seriously, and I'm ready to do some crazy damage.
I believe it.
How big would you say is the grappling component in like karate combat? Because this is a striking focused sport, but it does have one of the most free grappling aspects out of all the striking sports, even more than Muay Thai in some aspects. So how important is that grappling aspect, especially for someone that's a pure striker for you, like you?
Yeah, it's certainly important. You know, it's very different. You know, when it's hard for me to really give a true comparison, because when I grapple and wrestle with people in my weight class, I hold my own. I do what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. I put myself in the right positions. You guys didn't get a chance to see that because Sam was much bigger than me, and like the leverage he had, it almost was a non-factor. So, you know, I almost embraced the challenge of Adrian looking to grapple. I don't think he will. It's not something that you've seen even in his past MMA fights. He was usually the guy getting taken down and then scrambling to find a better position. Yes, he will catch the leg and sweep, but he's not the type of person who looks to grab you an inside-outside trip, you know, hip throw. And when he does try it, he's usually not successful in his MMA fights. So, you know, with a guy like me who's also now going to be much bigger than him, like Shaheen arguably had much better judo than Adrian did. And I was able to shut 90% of that down. So it does play a huge role, and we've absolutely been preparing for it.
What percentage of your training do you think should be devoted to grappling? Because I know there's probably a lot of karatekas as well as some crypto influencers that might be looking to get into the IFC or karate combat, and maybe they got starting to get a handle of the striking, but they want to know how much should they be devoting to the grappling aspect, because it's not MMA. You don't want to be doing a large portion of your training focused on like jiu-jitsu, for example.
Yeah, I think a more important thing would be maybe not wrestling but if you did a little bit of judo or even some Greco, because a lot of the takedowns they're all like upper body takedowns, you know, inside outside trips. They're like positional takedowns because you still can't double leg or single leg. So wrestling is kind of out of the question because we're not worried about shots. We're more concerned of like, okay, when there's a collision and you can wrap up and grab the belt and get an overhook, you know, and bear hug and things like that. And we have these body locks. Like, now what's going to happen? So I think more of just like training those positional battles are going to make a big difference. It's tough to say, you know, 20%, 30%. It also, like, if you're an elite striker, maybe you can use your distance control to nullify some of that. You know, I think at the end of the day, styles make fights, and if you're doing your homework, you know what you can and can't do. It really varies for each fight.
I got a slightly. I just reminded myself of it, but you know, you're also in the health field. I'm curious what your take would be on Ryan Garcia in the Osterine stuff. Like, do you have any? Can you explain? What are your thoughts on it? Because you're so smart, and you know, you don't just beat people up; you also fix them. I don't know. What do you know about this type of stuff? What do you think about the whole Ryan Garcia situation?
I think if it's illegal and he had it, that's all there is to it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if your argument is like, oh, but it doesn't even really help, then why, then why is it banned? It's a banned substance. It doesn't matter. Like, even like Khalil Roundtree, I'm kind of like scratching my head. Like, bro, you guys have the UFC PI to literally give you everything. Like, how could you, at that level, how could you be going outside of what these people are providing for you? You know, you literally have everything at your disposal, and it's just, it's just negligence kind of, by him. And I hate it because I freaking love Khalil Roundtree. I think he's so talented. I was looking forward to that fight. And I'm like, I just like can't get behind that stuff, man. If it's a banned substance, it's a banned substance. I don't care if it's stupid or not. You can't have it.
Fair
So
enough.
there's really, it's very black and white to me.
Yeah. And it is to a lot of fighters as well. Only LARPing, you're back, right? He's been signed ever since he said he was leaving for a minute. ET phone home.
So Ross,
his avatar's moving. I think he's there, but he might be muted. All right, yeah, go ahead, Mac. Sorry.
You mentioned the UFC PI. Where would you rate Turbo Sports Performance Program in comparison to the PI when it comes to combat sports focused programs?
Put me on the spot, huh?
Yeah, and it's also a good platform for you to promote it.
No, 100%. I mean, listen, the things that the UFC PI can do differently than me, they have access to so much data that I don't have. They have tools and materials and scans and like everything that you need to be. It's basically an Olympic training facility, and then some, but it's geared specifically to mixed martial artists. So, I mean, if I had access to all of those tools, I mean, it would certainly level up our game. So you really can't compare the two. I mean, I'm doing remote strength and conditioning and now we're developing a nutrition program between myself and Coach Zach, where we can really give people what they need. But like, am I going to have a ton of UFC fighters on my roster? No, because they have the PI. Why would they need to contact me and pay me when the UFC PI is free for them? But quality, if we're talking about quality, I mean, a lot of the information and the studies that we read and go over the research are all the same. All the stuff that we do is all research and evidence-based. So are you getting the same exact programming? I can't say what it is because I've never seen the strength and conditioning protocols, but I know like when I speak to, Calvin Cater after he tore his ACL and we were, I was contacting him and trying to figure out like, hey, what kind of stuff are you doing? And putting together like what they're having him doing compared to what my protocols would be, they're on par. I think we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And, the results from Turbo Sports have been phenomenal and they're only going to keep getting better.
Love to hear it. So go ahead, Mac.
I just want to bring it back to the fight real quick.
Yeah.
As we saw, and Ross even commented on, there were some posters in his hometown. I just want to get his original reaction to it was.
Disrespect. The disrespect.
Wait, what happened?
Adrian was in New York City and he like rented I think it's the TSX screen next to
Oh, yeah.
And he put up like an Adrian the Eagle flyer. But yeah.
Does that give you extra motivation, or is it kind of just like
because while he was in New York putting up a poster in Times Square, I was training. So like, enjoy your screen time, buddy.
Enjoy your screen time. That's funny. So before we hopped on here, only LARPing, I don't know if you're back yet, but you could tell us, Ross, because you're involved in it. But he was saying you got a big new sponsor before this upcoming fight.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, the platinum sponsor for this event is Squid Grow. So Shibtoshi is the man. He is just Google the guy. Google the guy. I don't want to ruin anything, but he's an absolute freak of nature when it comes to like the crypto game. He's been responsible and at the front line of many really cool projects, especially the stuff that he's getting ready to do now. And from what I understand, they've been in talks with Karate Combat from working together on some projects for quite some time. And now it finally clicked for consensus. So, as part of that, his idea was to reach out to a couple of the fighters and a couple of the influencers and, basically give these people who follow him that are now going to follow Karate Combat people to root for. And I'm very grateful that he chose me as the current champion to represent Squid Grow. And yesterday we did a Twitter space or an X space, whatever you want to call it now. And
Twitter, all right, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really cool opportunity for me to meet one of the other influencers, Ellie, who's going to be fighting, who's doing some phenomenal stuff. Like I love her story, but also like meet a lot of people that are brand new to the space that even a couple of them were martial artists, but didn't really know much about karate combat, certainly didn't know me. So it exposed me to a whole new group of people that, you know, are now, number one, they're following me, they're interested in my story, and, you know, if they're there, probably going to root for me. So it's really, really cool to have someone like that in such a position as he is to, you know, put his faith in me and want me to represent his brand, which is, you know, growing in popularity at a crazy, crazy rate. So I'm just very grateful, very blessed.
So you could say you're like the crypto knight now. You're his knight, and like, yeah, that's awesome, bro. That's a great deal. Asim probably gonna hop on here in a few minutes. We'll see if he still comes on. But no, you're still good. Have you been riding a bike this whole time, Ross?
Yeah, I'm in the gym right now. It's empty. There's nobody in here, which is exactly how I like it. But
you don't even sound winded, bro.
What's that?
And you don't even sound winded at all.
This is easy work, man. This is just the you know, putting the final touches on my weight cut. You know, things are going good. This is just kind of like a little fat burn, leaning out, easy stuff. All my hard work is done.
Yeah. So weight cut's going good.
Beautiful. Yeah. You know what's funny, man, is like the last couple fights that I've had, I've never had to do. The last time I had to do a bath to actually cut water weight was my title contender fight with Igor. The first time I fought Igor in Budapest was the last time that I actually had to like get in a bath and cut weight. All of my other fights I had known about in such far advanced amount of time. Like my last fight with Igor was like 29 weeks. Crazy. We had so many delays and pushbacks that I was on weight so far ahead of time. My fight with Adamov, again, after Igor, I knew that was the next fight. I knew they were coming in June, so I healed up and I was ready to go. And then, of course, my fight with Sam, I wasn't really cutting weight. I was eating a ton. So for this fight, I had put on so much muscle and like my body grew quite a bit from my last fight at 205, that now it's like, it's a true cut again. So it's really cool. And in a bit of a sadistic way, I'm really excited to like do a bath again. There's something about going through those last couple moments that almost like the word that's coming to mind is like legitimize, but yeah. I know that's not the truth. Like, obviously I can still do great work, but it just makes me feel like I crossed all my T's and dotted my I's, that I went through every little piece. I suffered a little bit. I've sacrificed a whole bunch, and now we're going to go in there and someone's going to pay for it. So I'm really excited that I'm kind of back to this. It feels good.
Do you think it's going to give you any type, like, will it give you a power advantage? Do you think you're going to feel the same as always, or like blowing up? And I don't mean blowing up unhealthily, but like gaining that muscle and letting yourself go up to 205, coming back down. Is that going to transfer any, you know, a plus power boost for you or anything like that?
Maybe it's possible. You know, I think power in the style of fighting that I try and present is not a power-based style. Like, I'm not going to hit you and kind of shake you to the core. It's more of like my speed, my timing, like that's what puts people out. So, you know, I'm not really the type of person who's going to sit there and bludgeon you until you give up. Like, I'm going to hit you when you don't expect it, and I'm going to put your lights out. And from speed, you know, speed, timing, distance control, like that's what I find myself to be a master of, or like constantly working to be a master of. But, you know, will it give me an advantage? I believe so, you know, and one of the ways I know that is I've been performing at a higher level at a slightly heavier weight than usual. Like, typically when I'm in training camp, I don't start feeling like really fast, really springy, like super athletic and like taking over in my training until I'm like 197, 196. But for these last couple of weeks, I've been like 201, 202 and just fucking crushing it, man. Like,
oh shit.
So yeah, so I'm already pretty lean, so I know I'm carrying a little more muscle, and I feel like I do when I'm in like the mid 90s. So it's going to be a really nice cut, and yeah, I do think it's going to translate very well.
Oh yeah. So not to be cliche, but like Connor said, precision beats power and timing beats speed. That's essentially what you're saying. That's it.
Correct. Yes.
And does that go back to your karate background? Like, does that all come from like all going back from your entire sport karate career?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's what I had. I had no choice but to develop that. You know, when I was coming up as a sport karate athlete, I wasn't the most physically gifted athlete. I wasn't the most fast or the most strong. You know, I was competing all the time against guys like Raymond Daniels, Michael Venom Page, like guys who were superior athletes to me. But when it came to, you know, I had to, number one, the intangibles, that like toughness, discipline, you know, my study habits, like all of those little things that you can't quite measure. That's what I had to be really, really good at. And the things that you can't see. So like being a master of distance control and timing and rhythm, breaking rhythm, like those are the things that I do exceptionally well, because I had to, you can't fight fire with someone who's a better athlete than you. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't worth my time. I wasn't going to get there. So I had to master the things that maybe they weren't as good at to level the playing field. And now in my full contact career, yeah, it's carried over big time.
So I'm curious, Mike Perry, when I talk to him about this, it's always like he gets upset if a fight doesn't last long enough. And I'm curious with you, it's like you asked Mike, like what your ideal fight outcome is. It's like he can't say anything besides like he just needs to get his, man. He needs to get like, he's got to fight him long enough. What's like the ideal, like, do you care if you go in there and you smoke somebody in 30 seconds, or would you rather, and go ahead. You know what I'm asking.
Man, I don't get paid by the minute. Don't get paid by the minute. But I can understand and like I understand where he's coming from, because man, like there are times when you get names that cross your desk that like literally scare you. It like fighting is not a simple sport. And like because of that fear, it forces you to train so freaking hard, man. Like you just train so hard and you sacrifice so much, and then it's over so fast, and it's like, I didn't even get to like show off what I worked on. But I promise you, like, yeah, the immediate effect is like, I wish I got to do more. And then he goes home to his family with the pocket full of cash, and I bet he good about himself. Yeah. Same way. I'm the same way. Like when my Glory debut was a great example of that. You know, I was like, man, I'm finally at this stage. Like I'm finally in Glory, and I knock somebody out in 40 seconds, knockout of the year. I'm like, oh man, I could have done so much more. And then I was like, yeah, but I needed that. You know,
Yeah.
like, it was important.
Put no miles on or nothing like that.
And then I was able to get right back in there. So you know,
yeah,
it works on the other end.
So ideally, if you could fight as often as you want, so let's say you go out there and you get this one done, minimal damage, but let's just say, you know, right middle range, you go a couple rounds or something, and you don't leave with any broken bones or anything like that. How often what would be your ideal fight schedule yearly?
Yeah, I mean, I've told Karate Combat, I signed my new contract, I wanted 4 fights a year.
4.
If I possible, as long as I'm healthy, 4, yeah. Quarterly. That's 4 3-month training camps. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I'm
right in. Go ahead.
The age where it's like, you know, I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning, right? So, like, if I'm going to dedicate myself, I'm doing this shit, man. Like, I'm the entire way. There's the ultimate sacrifice here. I'm committed. I'm always committed. But you know, I told Karate Combat, like, listen, 4-fight contract. Let's crank this thing out in a year. Like, if I'm healthy, get me a matchup. Unfortunately, there just hasn't been any people to dance with.
Yeah, we've had that issue for a while. You know, getting a fight for you sometimes. If you go through Adrian like this, is there someone on your radar?
I mean, there's tons of people on my radar, but it's the same.
Because, and you have to be careful as a champ, you know, like you don't want to just fight anybody. At the end of the day, you probably would just because you want to fight. But it's like if you kind of get the pick, you got your eyes on certain people you hope maybe do well and rise to your level so you can prove a point or something. You know, you get my question. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, I've been, how many times have we done this now, Mac? I mean, it's been this is 4 podcasts that we've done together. I've always
4 or 5, yeah.
And they never pay off, man. It's like, it's tough. You know, even like I was doing the podcast with Mac Tyson and Mallory Woods, and we were talking about, you know, the Luke Rockhold fight. And it's like, yeah, but I feel like if that was meant to be, it would have happened already. Like if that fight was meant to be, if Karate Combat really wanted me to fight Luke, that would have been the fight in Dubai. Like there was no reason for Joe Schilling. And that's not being disrespectful to Joe. Joe is the best American kickboxer that's ever come out of the US. But like, if they really wanted me and Luke, it could have happened already. So for me to sit here and be like, I want to fight Luke Rockhold, doesn't seem like it's up to me, you know? So I don't really know the direction of some of that stuff. And then, you know, you hear them talking about stuff like a 4-man tournament. Like, I just don't understand where it's going. But that's not for me to understand. That's not my job. My job, get a contract, say yes, which I've always done, give me a date, and I go and fight. So at this stage, I just hope the middleweight division keeps building so I can have more contenders.
Do you have? Oh, go ahead.
Gegard Mousasi signed with Karate Combat, would you want him to work his way up to a title shot, or do you just want him right away?
I'm going to flip that back. Does Gegard Mousasi need to do anything but fight for a title?
No.
But
Gegard's one of the most accomplished fighters in the middleweight division, like, of all time. Like, it's actually pretty fucking wild.
He's pretty much won every title except for the UFC middleweight title.
Yeah. And he was pretty good, so.
What about Uriah Hall?
I've said that before too.
You'd be cool with him getting an immediate title shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing is, though? I mean, I don't think I do not have anything to do with it. And what I mean by that is, like, these guys aren't afraid to fight me. They're not. Like, they have no reason to be afraid to fight me. I think if they believe they're going to walk all over me, I think that's a mistake. But I don't think these guys are former champions. Like, no one's afraid to fight me. Those guys are not ducking me. I don't think they want the title. I don't think they want the title attached to them, because, I mean, it means if they win, they kind of have to fight again.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, for me, it's just like, take the title out of it and just make it a super fight. If you have nobody in the middleweight division, why am I not just fighting super fight after super fight after super fight? Like, why not?
Ooh, I like this combo.
There was also, like, I remember back in the Dominican Republic, there was one of those influencer boxers that called out Ross for a boxing match.
Who was it?
Would be that something that interests you? I forgot the guy that got hit in the groin.
You're wasting your breath. Don't even mention his name.
Oh man! All right, Mac Tyson. Someone's got to text me his name because I gotta know what we're talking. But yeah, is there ever an influencer you would fight? Because, like, you seem like if the bag was right, but it's not on. That's not on your fucking radar. You don't give a shit. You'd rather take real stuff.
I mean, you know, it's like, of course, at this stage of my career, the money is nice. Like, that's what I would really like. You know, if I'm going to be fighting big names or big influencers, like, my contract would have to change. So that kind of goes without saying. I think I've earned that too. But yeah, I mean, I would certainly, if the money was right and it was the same price tag to fight a former UFC fighter like a Uriah Hall, like a Luke Rockhold, even like Joe Schilling again, or an influencer, as popular as they may be, I'm taking the former fighter.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of a way to word the question I'm trying to ask, but, like, so you're saying you don't think, like, you know, Gegard wouldn't fight for anything but title necessarily, you know, the super fight things, that whole conversation, but, like, Luke Rockhold and Joe Schilling, you don't think they're necessarily looking at a title. It's like just a one-off fight, or maybe trying out the waters of Karate Combat. What do you think it would take to make the Karate Combat title something that Gegard or, you know, like Uriah Hall or Luke Rockhold would want to pursue, like, in your opinion? Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think right now it's like the Karate Combat needs more time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, that's really what it is, and the roster has to develop a little bit more, because let's be real. If you know, let's say Mousasi signs with Karate Combat and they give him a title shot with me, he's going to be and he beats me. He's going to be in the same position that I'm in, sitting around waiting for fights, which is why he wanted to leave PFL, because he wasn't getting fights. So, you know, there's no depth, and I think that's the issue. The issue is depth. There needs to be a pipeline. So, you know, just having a big name fighting me for the title, as much as I would love that selfishly, it doesn't move the needle for Karate Combat. It's going to cost a lot of money, and it doesn't change the division. Now, tell me we're going to roster Luke, Uriah, Gegard,
Oof.
Like you're going to roster these guys and put like 3-fight contracts. Now you're putting some serious legitimacy behind whoever the hell has that title, because now these guys are guaranteed that they're going to keep fighting. But if they just do one-off fights here and there whenever they want, I mean, like Luke posted today, he's ready to go back to boxing.
Yeah.
So that even like, and again, this is, if I'm Karate Combat, that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it wasn't cheap to get Luke in Dubai to fight Joe Schilling. And
do
now,
you think? Oh, go ahead.
You know, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want these guys to be there and stay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, honestly, like with BKFC, for example, Mike Perry is the face of it, but you want your champion to be the face of an organization. And I think they made a belt for Mike Perry, but like he's not actually fighting like the contenders. He's doing just a bunch of super fights. And I'd much rather, what really builds an organization, what builds the meaning of the title, and like for someone like Ross, what builds their legacy are these guys that are coming up hungry, going through the division, and by the time they get that title shot, the actual fans of Karate Combat are thinking, man, is this going to be the guy that can finally beat Ross and take the title?
That was going to be my question. I guess I'll ask both of you. Do you think you cleaning out the division and becoming a very dominant champ, where it's like, oh, Ross is probably just going to beat this guy too? Do you think that's better? Do you think that brings people over time? Do you think that'll bring fighters to want to challenge you and grow the division? Or do you think it scares people off because they're like, I don't want that to be my first fight?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak on what other people are feeling, but I do feel it's almost like the John Jones effect, right? John Jones was running through the division. Everyone was like, oh my God, this guy is an animal. And then he won the title and he, destroyed Shogun. And then he had that run, that immediate title run was unbelievable.
Nothing like it in sports, yeah.
Right. But then it like faded. And it's because John Jones does not have any of the top 5 UFC gates, right? Like people don't pay to watch John Jones fight anymore because they just kind of know what's going to happen already. So, yeah, and I am not comparing myself to John Jones. The only comparison we have is we're both New Yorkers. That is the only comparison.
But you need your Frazier. You need your, right? Something like that. You need something like John had. Something. You need someone to come up.
But you look at, but exactly, like, so the fact that I said that crazy title run that John Jones had, you were like untouched, right? But you can't compare my title run to that.
Yeah, it's different. It's different
because there's not enough depth. There's not enough depth in there, and the problem is it's just Karate Combat is still so young, so it needs more time. The UFC, it wasn't born what it is now. It took years, man. It's 30 years in, and now it's a monster.
Yeah,
right? That's what, a third of that? Not even.
Yeah, not even.
A fifth of that. It's a fifth of that. What, 6 years old, 7 years old?
Yeah.
So it's still a baby, man. It's got to grow.
Yeah, I agree. Mac Tyson, what do you think? I mean, you kind of answered it, but
yeah, no, like, and the timing is also kind of true. Like, back when I was just a fan of Karate Combat, I was a very big fan of Ross, and I was glad that he got a title shot. But I kind of wish that it would have taken a little bit longer. Have his name get built up more. Maybe have Shaheen defend the title a couple times, and then it's like a meeting of the Titans.
Yeah. I mean, I also understand the rush to get me up there because at that time they were trying to break into the American market more, and there were no English-speaking champions.
Well, besides Josh.
Yeah, but Josh didn't really have a huge popularity, and I love Josh to death. I just texted him like 2 weeks ago, just checking in, see how he's doing. But Josh is also not a very, and I think he probably prides himself on not being a remarkable guy. Like he's a man of God. He's just about his. And that's it. He doesn't talk trash, which a lot of people like. But when you're trying to build an organization and build some hype, like that's not the person that most people are going to gravitate to until they watch him fight. But they might not get that far.
Only LARPing. Are you back?
Yeah, guys. Sorry about that. I had a little emergency on the influencer fight card. I'm looking for. Yeah, it's okay.
Everything's okay?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, how long you been listening?
5 minutes.
Okay, damn. Yeah, you had to put out a fire. It sounds like, or
Yeah.
working on that.
Yeah, working on
Hopefully not a fire.
it. No, it's not that fight. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right, hell
Figure it
yeah.
out.
Well, you got any announcements for us? Like, let's talk about. We've been going 45 minutes, and this man, our champ, sitting here on the bike this whole time. You can't even fucking tell. It blows my mind.
Oh, that's right. That's what
He-
you're doing, huh?
The entire time he's been on
That's
there, just
awesome.
talking like, bro, I'm more winded than him, bro. But let's talk
Me
about
too.
Flip it
consistency.
around, but here we go,
Me
right?
too. Me too.
51 minutes. We got
Damn.
almost 10 miles in. Yeah,
His
you
heart
know,
Awesome.
rate's lower than mine. I'm gonna
probably,
take
it
my
probably
heart.
is.
Yeah.
By the way,
It probably is.
fun fact, Mac Malley, Ross doesn't. He doesn't do road work.
Yeah, true.
I don't. This is my cardio. Well, and like heavy bag sprints, but yeah, I don't run.
Dude,
Yeah.
running, yeah, it's
Not
lame
great
for
for
me,
your
bro.
knees.
I'll only run on a treadmill because I hate the idea of running out in the middle of nowhere because it's like you get halfway and you're like, guess I'll run back. I don't know. It just never made sense to me. Give me a tracker, a treadmill, or a bike.
I'm not even doing that. I'm only running if someone's chasing me.
I think the only advantage really comes, and it really depends on the type of fighter you are. Like for some fighters, I think they need that like solitary long distance run to get with their thoughts and get and go through all those demons ahead of the fight, so that they're not thinking it in the fight.
Well, some people need it to lose weight. Like if they're really losing a lot of weight, I mean, there's no doubt that running that. Boxers will run because they're fighting long rounds. It's 12 rounds of boxing level. So to get that long, to do like baseline cardio, you need to do a little bit more than a long bike ride. So like that long jog is going to be good. But bikers aren't also doing like crazy sprint workouts. They're doing what I do. They do heavy bag. But for me to go run a 5K doesn't do anything for me to fight a 3-minute round. The pace of a 3-minute round is explode, rest, explode, rest, explode, explode, rest, explode, rest. So like I have to train that style of energy system so that I can be proficient with it. And that's what like heavy bag work does, like sparring rounds. I do long sparring rounds, long controlled sparring rounds. That's going to give me the exact energy system I need. And hey man, I'm a scientist, brother.
How do
Yeah,
you feel
Ross
about
is
the
a
speed
cheat
bag?
code.
That's it, man.
Ross, how do you feel about the speed bag? Because you really only see boxers working it. You don't see karate combat fighters, kickboxers, or even MMA fighters using it.
It's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It builds hand-eye coordination. It builds timing, especially when it's like you can take anything too far. I love the double end bag. I wish I had access to one. I don't have access to one, but I think the double end bag is great for that like kind of in and out, touch, move. They're all amazing tools. If they weren't amazing, they wouldn't have withstood the test of time, right? Those boxers have been using it forever. But you also like it's boxing, so you can only really punch a speed bag. Does that help me in karate combat? Yeah, if they're that close to me. But you don't see Bill Wallace like hook rounding the speed.
Now that would be a viral video right there. Ross, get on it, bro.
I got that kind of hip dexterity, man. That's the thing. Hit you once, knock you out. I'm not trying to hit you 5 times.
just wheelhousing it, bro, over and over. That'd be sick, though.
That's also one thing I'm curious about is like a lot of the sport karate guys and even some of the WKF guys, when they go to full contact, they tend to take more of like, and I think it comes a lot from the cross training. They take a lot of that like Muay Thai power style kick, but they, outside of specific fighters like Wonder Boy, you don't really see those like Bill Wallace style floppy snap kicks anymore. Why do you think so few fighters use that, despite them having a strong game of it in their arsenal pre-existing?
I mean, I think styles make fights, right? Like you just got to be able to know what you do well, and knowing what is going to be effective for your style. Like just because I have a really, really good heavy body kick doesn't mean I'm going to throw it hard in every fight. Like you have to know what your strengths are, and like someone like Wonder Boy, you don't see him loading up like big Thai style back leg kicks because he's been so successful with that lead leg, using the dexterity. Same thing with like a Shannon Hudson, right? I'll do that a little bit, but over my good low kicker, I throw high kicks close places that most people don't. So, you have to fight to your own, your own strengths. And I think it's just different for everybody.
Yeah, back when you were first coming up, I remember even talking on the Reddit because people were like wondering like how to describe your fighting style. The way I always described it was like a mix of Dutch kickboxing and that like American sport karate, American kickboxing style.
It's always funny, man, because like it's just I always found it really hilarious. Like when I started kickboxing, everybody was like, "Oh, he's just a karate guy," and then when I came to karate combat, they were like, "Oh, he's just a kickboxer." Like literally doing all of it. I'm trying my along.
That same thing happened with Alex Pereira though. In kickboxing, everyone said, "Oh, he's just a boxer," and then when he went to MMA, everyone was like, "Oh, he's just a kickboxer."
Right.
Combat sports fans are fucking hilarious for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I just went and took a quick pee and grabbed another beer, and I'm more out of breath than Ross. Like, this is embarrassing, bro.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, hey,
you gotta hit up Ross when you're preparing for that IFC fight for.
Yeah, I gotta get my ass in shape.
When's that happening, man?
We need to find me a good opponent. Let's do so. Not Tennessee. Probably. So what's this going to be? IFC 2, and then we do IFC 3. Probably IFC 4. Because I'm not going out there and making a clown of myself. I'm going to take it serious, like Ross takes this shit. Okay. I have a role model right in front of me. I'd be stupid to go out there thinking like chugging beers and vaping right off the couch.
But
and I'm going to go and
start
style
training yet or no?
Little bit. Been running a little bit.
Mac,
Yeah, you look like you're getting in shape a little.
Well,
let me coach you.
Fucking
Yeah,
bet.
have Ross train you.
Okay.
I
All
take
right.
30%.
Seriously, we got to start.
Okay. Absolutely.
30,
and I know wait, what'd you say? 30%? 30%?
That's
Fuck it.
That's like Don King status right there.
Yeah, if you guarantee I win, I'll give 30%. No,
I mean, for you, I would do it just for fun, man. Let's do it though. I'm serious though. Like, let's get together. I'd be happy to work with you.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, so with that said, what do you have to say, Only LARPing, about consensus, IFC, Karate Combat coming up next week? Let's pitch this Austin card for the viewers.
Yeah, I mean, we got a long night of awesome fights. We've got, 3 pit submission fights, 7 Karate Combat fights, topped off by Ross and Adrian, which is going to be a banger. And then we've got 5 influencer fights. I think the crowd should be electric. 2,000 people standing on top of the pit, basically. Pretty similar setup to Vegas without the scaffolding, because Texas didn't, I think the convention center didn't let us do the scaffolding, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, it's going to be packed in there, and people are going to be going nuts, I think. It's going to be a blast.
We'll tell about the main event we've been talking about the main event of the real fights. And then we got the fun fights.
Yeah.
We could also call it like international fun championships, bro, because this shit's fucking fun to watch. Like, it's dope. These guys throw down. Who's our main event?
Yeah, so that's the one I got a little bit of a problem with. So I'll skip that for a second.
Okay.
Go
to your big.
I'm most looking forward to seeing on that card is Ellie. She has a legit Muay Thai background. It's a low level, but compared to the average IFC level, she's one of the best fighters we've seen.
I think both the female fights are going to be awesome.
Cool. And then the Fire Festival guy, how's that going to go?
We will see. Okay. He's been a pleasure to deal with, to be honest.
Cool.
And he's going against one of the Good Boys buddies, who I think super fired up about it. So that should be a banger.
Hell yeah. Well, so Ross, let's wrap it with this. I cannot believe you've done an hour on the bike and you look like, dude, it's just funny. It doesn't surprise me at all, actually. It's just funny. But how do you your prediction for the KO? And it could be mind games, or for the win. It could be mind games, or it could be exactly what you think.
I think I'm going to finish him for sure. I think there's a very high probability I knock him out. It's hard to predict when, because, I have to, there's a lot of layers, when you fight someone like Adrian, it's like an onion, right? You got to peel back a bunch of layers and kind of strip away all the stuff that he kind of wants to show me in the beginning. So the quicker I can strip some of that stuff away, the quicker we get the finish. But I do see myself finishing him. Yeah, man, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Ideally, it would be explosive. And, you know, I know everyone wants these viral knockouts, so I'm going to do my best. But, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, I think the challenge is going to be figuring out the puzzle and doing it fast. You know, and I think we put together a hell of a game plan. I'm really excited to kind of put that to work and show people this is not like a physical win. This is a mental win. You know, in order to break down somebody like Adrian and pull apart his style and let it unravel, it's a mental game. I have to be a couple steps ahead of him, which is what I'm good at, man. So I'm really excited to put the game plan to work and adapt on the fly. And that's where I do my best work. And then we put his lights out.
Let's go. Well, so with that, are we all happy here? We made any announcements we need? Mac Tyson and Only LARPing?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
Hell yeah. Well, then I guess we're gonna see all you pendejos for barbecue and kicking people in the face. 1 week now, almost to the hour. One week from now, we might see Ross kicking someone in the chin. So
yes,
very high probability.
Very high probability. You heard it here first. One more round. We out.
Later, guys.
Great shit, Ross. Peace, brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Later, guys. Thank you.
No problem.